Hi guys, I want to jump on here quick and talk about what the difference is between whole wheat and whole grain. I was talking with a client about this earlier, and I thought it was a great question to really expand on because a lot of times when we're looking at, breads or certain foods, we look at the front of the package for all the information, but I want to change this perspective. So rather than me telling like, oh, buy this, buy that, I really want to empower you to understand the foods that you're buying and the reason behind them. So there's a lot of things when we're looking at like breads, for example, whether it's whole wheat, whole grain, 7 grain, 12 grain, all natural and rich. There's all these words that are listed on the front of the food. So what is a whole grain? A whole grain begins as a whole kernel. So there's 3 parts to the whole grain. There's the outer portion, which is called the bran. And then there's an inner layer called the germ. And then the center is called the endosperm. And these are the 3 components that are changed during the milling process. So when something's processed, the first thing they take away is the bran, which is the outer layer. And this part of the whole grain contains the fiber of the food. And this is also where we get a lot of the B vitamins from. And then the next portion that they'll strip away is the germ. And this is where the vitamin E and other essential fatty acids are. So this is where the fat part of the kernel comes from, the whole grain. And then what's left is the center, and this is like a white in color. This is called the endosperm, and this is processed and made into white flour, essentially. So high starch foods are missing fiber and nutrients, and they are digested very quickly, and they are pushed into our bloodstream very fast, and they cause our blood sugar to spike. So when we have more of the whole grain choices, we're including fiber and other nutrients as well. So we're slowing digestion and we're slowing that release into the blood sugar. So we're not seeing as much of that spike in blood sugar, and resulting in our energy can kind of shift as a result of that. So whole wheat, to answer the question, is a whole grain. And many breads are made primarily with whole wheat. So the first thing you want to do is that you want to look at the back of the bread, the back of the food product that you're looking to purchase. And you want to look at the ingredients. So the ingredients are listed in descending order. So meaning the first ingredients are the primary ingredients of the food that you're purchasing. So when you're looking at bread, for example, you want 100% or whole wheat to be one of the first 3 ingredients usually. So it might say like water and then whole wheat and then crack wheat or something like that. But you want it to be the primary top 3 ingredients of what you're purchasing. You also want to look for 100% whole wheat or 100% whole grain when you're looking at the food product as well. If they're not listing a percentage, it usually means that some part of that does have some of the refined flour in that. And this is fine. It's okay to include these other refined grains in your diet, but primarily if we can get most of our carbohydrate sources coming from more of these whole grain, complex carbohydrates, our body responds better in terms of digestion, and we tend to feel more satisfied as well with this. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was the word enriched. So enriched means a refined, essentially a refined grain or refined white bread was, refined and stripped away all of the nutrients naturally that it has. And then after this process, those natural nutrients were synthetically added back. So there's synthetic nutrients that were added back that were lost in the milling process. So there might be some nutrients here, but they weren't naturally there. And the reason that products are typically enriched is because they've processed them in the first place to increase their shelf life. So that's from a manufacturer food company perspective, where this is going to last longer on the shelf. And then we have to enrich it back with these nutrients that we took out of it. And that's typically where the enriching process comes from. So I hope that was helpful to try to navigate some food labels when you're looking at purchasing things, so you can be empowered to make these choices on your own. I will talk soon. Bye-bye.